What's up, everybody? My name is Vincent. Welcome to Cryptolution, where we talk about everything under the moon in the crypto universe. Today's Wednesday, June 11th. Now, in today's video, we have to talk about what's happened over the past 24 hours because for the very first time, the CEO of Kraken has talked about dog live during an interview. This is unheard of, but it's actually more intriguing than that because the CEO not just talked about dog, but also how much he's been involved in understanding the meta protocols, especially runes for that matter, on top of Bitcoin. You will be fascinated with what he has to say, and it actually allows you to understand how bullish dog is when it comes to the spot listing. Will hopefully be going live soon. But before we get into that, I want to talk about other news that's happening within dog Bitcoin, such as Odin.fun launching soon OG runes integration, and then also look into charting and analysis at the end of the video because the Golden Cross is happening very soon. Don't worry, we're going to cover it. Let's not waste any time. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to join us on X, and please be careful with aiming the scammers down in the comments below. I will never reach out via WhatsApp, Telegram, direct messaging, or email, so please be careful and invest safely. So guys and girls, let's get right into it. So as you can see, as of right now, dog is hovering around a 460 to 470 million market cap. It's just been trading sideways for so long, and we're waiting for that listing announcement by Kraken, and I'll talk about what will possibly happen once that does happen. Now, in terms of ranking coin market cap, we went from around 122 to 127, so we're falling in ranking. Remember, we're not that far from reaching the top 100. Roughly only 3 meme coins stand in between us and the top 100th coin, which could be Pudgy Penguins at rank number 93. Now, once the Kraken listing does happen, it will slingshot, I think, in my own personal belief, in the top 100. And the reason for that is all these other coins have multiple tier 1 centralized exchange listings. Dog Bitcoin has 0. Think about that. So once Kraken lists dog for spot trading, it will most likely get close to 100. But also, you're going to see another centralized exchange list dog because they're seeing the trading volume on Kraken. Now, let's move on to other news that's happening around runes, especially around dog. So you know Mind Labs. Mind Labs is responsible for bridging the dog token over to Solana, also other tokens such as pups. Now, what they had just recently announced is that they're allowing cross-chain bridging between dog to another chain, which is Near Protocol. So you can go from Bitcoin layer 1 to now the Near Protocol network. So this is just more buy buttons in terms of another protocol, aka chain, allowing access to dog. And in other news, HTX Community, which is kind of a sub Twitter page compared to HTX Global, made another tweet about dog, which actually featured the dog Bitcoin logo. Now, I don't know what's going on with HTX or HTX Community, but they've just been kind of engagement farming just based on what I'm seeing. I see no signs of them listing dog, but nonetheless, it does not mean that you should stop engaging with them. I think you still should, but put a lot of pressure on these exchanges, especially HTX, because if they are engagement farming, then let's make sure that our voices are heard, that we are the most dominant voice within meme coin communities, which based on statistics, we have been on all their different posts. Now, I just want to also remind everybody that 6 months ago and 24 days ago, Dog Perpetuals was launched on OKX. Now, the reason this is important is because the OKX Perpetuals was announced roughly around 1 to 2 weeks later after the Kraken Perpetual announcement. So this specific post already has over 1 million views, and I haven't really seen any of their other perpetual announcements reach that amount of volume. So just think about that. So I'm still putting pressure on OKX. I have spoken to some of their team members, but here's the other breaking news. Okay, so just yesterday, Bob Bailey, who is the CEO of this platform called Odin.fun, which is built on a layer 2 on the ICP protocol, basically said all runes, aka OG runes, are now going to come to Odin.fun next Wednesday on June 18th. But here's the catch. In order for those OG runes to be implemented, you have to actually have some liquidity for those tokens to be traded. So basically, in order for dog to be traded on Odin.fun, even though it will be available, there needs to be people who own dog to provide that liquidity. Now, it's really up to you if you want to do that, but keep in mind when you send your tokens to a different platform, you have to be a little wary, especially if it's on a different protocol. If it's not on Bitcoin layer 1, you have to be extra careful, extra safe. And the last thing I want happening is people having all their funds drained because they put all their dog tokens onto Odin.fun. So either way, I asked, is dog confirmed in this first wave? And he says absolutely 100% for sure, yes. If we can get enough liquidity for users for safely trade and not to have to worry about low liquidity, aka high impact issues. And what we need to know about Odin.fun fun. It's very popular around Asia. And so when Dog is going to be available here, I'll start tracking and seeing the progress of it. But until then, we're just going to wait and see what happens until next Wednesday. Now, this is really important because we're getting down to Kraken, okay? So back on March 3rd of 2025, remember today is June 11th of 2025, there was an announcement that the SEC has dropped its lawsuit against Kraken. Now, why is this really important? Well, you can imagine as a CEO and any team member within the Kraken team have to be careful what they say out there in the world, especially on crypto Twitter, because it could be used against them. Especially the previous administration within the SEC was very bearish around cryptocurrency. So now that this new roundtable of new team members of the SEC being pro-crypto, it's actually been so positive. Not only do they drop lawsuits, but they're actually supporting DeFi, and they're also supporting like basically builders such as Kraken. So why is this really important to understand? Because yesterday, Milk Road Daily did an interview with Arjun, who is the CEO of Kraken. And guess what happened in this specific interview? Jay Hamilton asked him the question around why does he have Dog, the Crack token, and the Bitcoin token in his profile. And this is why it was really important for Arjun to include Dog in his profile, because you'll get interviews like this, which I'm going to play right now.
And so whatever I might be paying attention to, it could be anything. It could be a video game. It could be, the new runes protocol that people are talking about under BTC. I just get excited to spend time digging into it, even building around it just for fun, not necessarily a reflection of Kraken. But I do think whenever the community is engaged, it's kind of incumbent on us to do some investigation work to see what they're doing with it. And sometimes it could be a meme. Sometimes it could be a form of expression. Sometimes that toy, as Chris Dixon famously put, can become more of a utility. And then everyone can start using it. And I think it's the same way in which Doge became more predominant. I'm always looking for sort of interesting tidbits around what's going on. So I tend to just put that form of expression in my Twitter or LinkedIn profile while I might be playing video games at the same time. So it's just a reaction to how I'm feeling at that moment, not necessarily a reaction to what I'm executing on.
Right. I appreciate your willingness to share and to be so present on X. It's awesome to see. We need more founders and more leaders who are doing that. What's Dog?
So it's I don't know if you've been following it.
I'm not following Dog. No, give me the TLD.
It is a community that's focused on getting the meme coin style form of expression on the Bitcoin network, right? And so there's a group of folks. I think today they're calling Rune June.
Okay.
And Dog is one of the meme coins that they're thinking about continuing to build against. And ideally, they're looking to go get listed. But I've just been engaging with the community, learning a little bit more about what they're building. It's not just Dog, but a bunch of different things. So again, like I said, I'm just excited to dig in and wondering why they're there in the first place building.
So as you just heard, you have to pay attention to how Arjun is explaining and responding to Jay Hamilton's questions. He has to be very careful in exactly what he's about to say. But regardless, based on this interview, I could already tell that he's more than just intrigued with just Dog, but it's overall the Runes protocol. For the first time, we get to see what's built on Bitcoin, not around Bitcoin. Because if you think about it, Arjun has actually taken the dog pill, and he's been fascinated by being at the forefront of innovation. This is what is really important, is that he doesn't see Dog as a meme coin. He also sees it as an example of what the Runes protocol can be and why Kraken can capitalize on that. So he retweeted this interview, and he had something to say about this. And I'm going to read this entire thing because I think it's actually really important. Yes, it's true. I've been spending time on BRC20s, not for engagement, not because it's perfect, but because it's opened a design space on Bitcoin that hasn't really existed until now. And that shift matters, and here's why. So BRC20s is stateless and non-Turing complete. It doesn't rely on a virtual machine. It encodes intent and inscriptions and relies on off-chain indexers to recreate token state. Is it crude? Yes, but it works and it fits within Bitcoin's model. Now, it exposes the real scaling and UX challenges, such as from bloated UTXO sets to inconsistent indexers. BRC20 showed us what breaks under real usage. It also forced tooling, wallets, explorers, mempool visibility to level up fast. And this is why we see Runes build on that. Runes replaces the JSON hack with the native on-chain logic. It uses UTXOs to encode token balance directly, minimizing bloat and improving audibility. But it likely wouldn't exist without BRC20 chaos proving there was demand, and he's absolutely right there. Now I'm going to go ahead and scroll down a little bit more. Now the new design is permissionless. Bitcoin native experimentation, no wrapped assets, no smart contracts because we don't have virtual machines, by the way, keep that in mind, no bridging risk, just new protocols or actually meta protocols built directly on top of Bitcoin's UTXO model. That's a big deal. And culturally, it matters too. Bitcoin has been viewed as a finished software for years, aka like a store of value only. But this wave of BRC20 tokens, runes, and ordinals is a reminder that innovation can happen on Bitcoin, not just around it. I'm not here to farm engagement. I'm here because watching Bitcoin evolve without compromising its fundamentals is technically fascinating. And he even has more to say as of this morning. It's important to hold both culture and technical layers to high standards. No VCs, no shortcuts. It's great. But decentralization without sound infrastructure can collapse under pressure. Runes is still very early. Indexers diverge. Wallet UX is rough. There is no consensus layer enforcement of token balances. Dog operating in that environment is bold, but it also highlights how far we still have to go. If we really want this to be a new era of Bitcoin, the culture's got to stay aligned with the hard technical work needed underneath. And this is why he's not just bullish on Dog. Dog is mainly an example of how we can use Dog as an example to build fungible tokens within the network without sacrificing decentralization or security, and scaling this in a way where now we can go to the mother chain and build Bitcoin DeFi. Because in the end, that's what Arjun is pretty much talking about. So if we go to Arjun's profile on Twitter, guess what? He's actually still posting about Dog. He says, "Dog, who are you guys?" And he actually made this specific clip right here, which I'm going to share with you right now.
This forest is crawling with creatures. And these dog army guys, what even are they? Just focus on the mission.
But not only that, ladies and gentlemen, the Kraken exchange itself with 1.6 million followers just posted this. Why? Because somebody replied, aka Purple Dog, said, "When Dog?" And guess what? It shows a developer building all the codes in this specific Kraken world. But it doesn't just stop there. Check this out. So we also have Pixel that said, "When Dog?" Guess what the Kraken exchange said? Devs doing something. And then we also have this post from Roger Runes, "When Dog?" Guess what Kraken exchange said? "Let us cook." The reason this is all very important is because Kraken is at the forefront of doing something really big. They're going to capture Bitcoin's over $2 trillion market cap. They're going to garner a lot of audiences. As you've seen, they have a lot of retweets, a lot of comments, a lot of likes from the Dog army, showing interest for this specific meta protocol called Runes, and Dog being the leading example of that. It's more than just Dog. Dog represents the entire Runes ecosystem, the meta protocol network within Bitcoin, and why at this time, at this very moment, Dog is the best play this cycle. And you have to keep in mind, Dog is not listed on Kraken, OKX, Bybit, HTX, KuCoin, Crypto.com, Upbit, Bitstamp, Hyperliquid, Gemini, Coinbase, Binance, and Robinhood. None of these are listed with Dog. Keep in mind, many of the other meme coins that we've shared in this specific chart right here on CoinMarketCap have multiple tier 1 listings, and Dog has 0. So once Dog has Kraken, it's going to shoot to the 100. It could take time. It could take within a month. Who knows? Or you're going to see it reach within the top 50. Just think about that. Okay, let's get into charting analysis. So as you can see, the golden cross is getting closer and closer. It's happening possibly this week, ladies and gentlemen. And the reason I think that's going to happen is because we're seeing a lot of buying pressure. And the reason we're seeing buying pressure is because you're seeing these pink histogram bars getting weaker and weaker, which is meaning we're getting into the buyer's market. Look at this blue line. Like I said, it's actually curving, is actually going sideways and curving up. So you're going to see a crossover, and then you're going to also see the 50-day cross the 200-day, which is the 50-day is this orange line. And that's very bullish because it could look something like this. So we can imagine over here that the 200-day did cross over the 50-day. The 200-day is the green line. And when you see the 50-day cross the green line, you saw this parabola event, which happened for Dog Bitcoin. But guess what? We're almost at the exact same point, and we're going to shoot really higher up. And the reason is because we have Kraken. We had no tier 1 exchanges in these previous two parabola events, from 950 million market cap to 999 million market cap. No tier 1s at all. This is going to be game changer. And this isn't going to be Kraken. This is also going to be OKX and other exchanges as well. So Leonidas has something to say to you right now. The window to buy Dog before its first tier 1 centralized exchange spot listing is rapidly closing. So I'm telling you right now, this is the time to dollar cost average. Buy as much as you can. It's not financial advice. I'm just telling you what I'm doing. Overall, ladies and gentlemen, you know I am absolutely bullish on Dog Bitcoin. You have just seen what has happened with the CEO. It is unheard of a CEO of a major exchange talking about and pretty much explaining why Dog Bitcoin is the most interesting, fascinating Rune token within the Rune meta protocol, and that the Rune ecosystem is just the very beginning of Bitcoin DeFi, and Kraken wants to be at that forefront and ride that tailwing and just take us to the moon. So with that said, keep supporting Kraken on a day-to-day basis. You're seeing that they are engaging with you and you need to engage with them. Let's make sure everybody knows to buy dog on Kraken. Deploy capital. Make sure accounts are signed up. Use referral links. But nonetheless, we're getting app. Let's get to work, everybody. All right, let's go ahead and smash up that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to join us on X to receive all of our alpha calls and trades regarding Dog on the Moon. Till then, see you guys, girls, next time.